Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we are diving into the mysterious and hidden corners of one of the most iconic figures in music history, Elvis Presley. You might know him as the king of rock and roll, but today we're peeling back the layers to uncover a side of Elvis that very few people know about. Elvis Presley, the man behind timeless hits and groundbreaking performances, was more than just a musical legend. Behind his charismatic persona and dazzling stage presence, there were secrets and stories that he tried to keep out of the public eye. In this video, we're going to explore the dark and lesser-known aspects of Elvis's life, focusing particularly on what was found in his blood. This shocking discovery reveals much about the hidden struggles and controversies that plagued him until his untimely death. From his extreme germophobia to his relationships with underage girls, from his bizarre vanity habits to the scandalous treatment of his pet chimpanzee, the secrets we're revealing today are as shocking as they are tragic. We'll delve into allegations of racism, hidden children, and his deep-seated addiction to medication. We'll also explore why Priscilla left him, his erratic and violent behavior, and finally, the alarming substances found in his blood that raise even more questions about his life and death. Stay tuned, because you won't want to miss a single detail of these dark secrets that Elvis didn't want you to know. 10. Elvis's germophobia. Elvis Presley was known for his striking good looks and mesmerizing performances, but behind the glitz and glamour, he harbored a deep-seated fear that affected his everyday life. Germophobia. This extreme fear of germs wasn't just a quirk. It was a debilitating phobia that influenced his behavior and interactions with those around him. Elvis was so terrified of germs that he would take extraordinary measures to avoid any potential contamination, leading to some rather unusual and even uncomfortable situations. Priscilla Presley, Elvis's ex-wife, has shared several anecdotes that highlight the extent of his germophobia. In a revealing interview, she recounted how Elvis refused to use anyone else's silverware, even in high-end restaurants. He would often bring his own utensils to avoid the risk of germs. Priscilla also mentioned that Elvis had a peculiar habit of drinking from cups only where the handle was, convinced that no one else would have touched that part. This behavior stemmed from a lifelong aversion to putting his mouth where others had, a trait that Priscilla believed Elvis had since childhood. Elvis's germophobia had a significant impact on his daily life and interactions with others. His refusal to eat at other people's homes or drink from communal cups often led to awkward situations. Friends and family had to accommodate his phobia, making sure that his environment was as germ-free as possible. This fear also limited his social interactions, as he avoided places and situations where he felt he couldn't control the cleanliness. Even at Graceland, his famous mansion, staff had to be meticulous about maintaining his stringent hygiene standards. Elvis's germophobia wasn't just a personal quirk, it was a constant presence that shaped his lifestyle and the way he related to those around him. 9. Relationship with young girls. Elvis Presley's relationship with Priscilla began when she was just 14 years old, but their romantic involvement began when she was 18. Despite the initial criticism surrounding their age difference, Priscilla was described as mature for her age. Their connection deepened during his time in the army, and they eventually married when Priscilla was a few weeks shy of 22. Contrary to some accounts, Priscilla emphasized that they maintained a chaperoned relationship until their wedding night, after which their daughter, Lisa Marie, was born. Their marriage ended in 1973. But Priscilla stated that they remained close until his passing. Linda Thompson's memoir provides a first-hand account of her relationship with Elvis. She describes their 4-year relationship, expressing deep love for him and acknowledging that he relied on her for moral support. Despite her love for Elvis, she addressed his infidelity and the challenges of living the lifestyle that surrounded him. Linda also shared her experience of learning about Elvis's death from Lisa Marie, highlighting the emotional impact of the loss. Additionally, Linda's musical talents, including co-writing a song for Whitney Houston, offer insights into her multifaceted life beyond her relationship with Elvis. Elvis's relationships with young women prompted discussions about his behavior and choices. While his relationships with Priscilla and others have been scrutinized, it's essential to consider the context of the times and the dynamics surrounding Elvis. The influence of fame, a unique lifestyle, and the challenges of maintaining relationships under intense public scrutiny offer perspectives into his interactions with young women. It's important to view these relationships within the broader context of his life and the complexities that accompanied his iconic status. Elvis's interactions with young women reflect the complexities of his personal life, fame, and the societal norms of his era. Understanding these relationships requires a nuanced approach that considers the individual dynamics and the broader context in which they unfolded. 8. Vanity and obsession with appearance. Linda Thompson, who had an intimate relationship with Elvis Presley after his marriage to Priscilla, offers a revealing look into his extreme dieting and obsession with maintaining his appearance. In her memoir, Thompson describes Elvis's relentless pursuit of a slim figure, often resorting to drastic and unhealthy measures. She recounts periods when Elvis would severely restrict his calorie intake, sometimes consuming as little as 500 calories a day. In his quest for thinness, he even underwent an alleged 2-week period of sedation, during which he would sleep most of the day, waking only briefly to eat and then sedating himself again. This obsession with his looks wasn't just about vanity. It was a reflection of the immense pressure he felt to maintain his public image as the king of rock and roll. One of the more peculiar aspects of Elvis's vanity was his fixation on hiding his neck, which he disliked intensely. According to Linda Thompson, Elvis went to great lengths to conceal what he referred to as his skinny little chicken neck. This insecurity led him to adopt a distinctive style that became one of his trademarks: high-collared shirts. These shirts were not just a fashion statement, but a deliberate attempt to cover up a part of his body he felt self-conscious about. By always wearing these high collars, Elvis managed to keep his perceived flaw hidden from the public eye, ensuring that his image remained untarnished in the eyes of his fans. This detail underscores the extent of his preoccupation with his appearance and the lengths he would go to control how he was perceived. Elvis's obsession with his looks also led to widespread speculation about whether he had undergone plastic surgery. Rumors swirl that he had various procedures done to maintain his youthful appearance. While some believed he had his eyes done or other mystery procedures, Linda Thompson revealed that Elvis did opt for at least one known cosmetic enhancement: a mini facelift at the age of 40. This decision highlights the pressure Elvis felt to preserve his image as he aged. Despite the speculation, the extent of his plastic surgery remains a topic of debate among fans and biographers. These rumors and revelations about his cosmetic procedures add another layer to the complex persona of Elvis Presley, illustrating how his desire to look perfect drove him to take significant, and sometimes extreme, measures. 7. Pet chimpanzee scandal. One of the more bizarre and unsettling aspects of Elvis Presley's personal life involves his pet chimpanzee, Scatter. Elvis acquired Scatter in the early 1960s, and the chimp quickly became a notorious fixture at Graceland. Scatter was more than just a pet. He was a source of entertainment for Elvis and his entourage. Known for his mischievous and often inappropriate behavior, Scatter would be dressed in little outfits and brought to parties to amuse guests. His antics ranged from playful to outright chaotic, reflecting the unpredictable and wild lifestyle that surrounded Elvis during this period. Scatter's presence at Graceland added a strange and often unsettling element to the already eccentric environment. While Scatter may have been a source of amusement, his treatment was far from humane. Elvis and his friends trained Scatter to perform antics that would entertain party guests, often at the expense of the chimp's well-being. Scatter was encouraged to drink alcohol, and it was reported that he could down a significant amount of liquor, leading to dangerous and unhealthy behavior. The chimp was also known for harassing women at these gatherings, an act that was laughed off by Elvis and his crew, but highlighted a deeper issue of animal mistreatment. Scatter's life at Graceland was characterized by exploitation and neglect, as he was used as a mere prop for the amusement of Elvis and his entourage, rather than being cared for as a living creature. The end of Scatter's life is shrouded in mystery and controversy, with conflicting reports about how the chimp met his demise. Some accounts suggest that Scatter died of natural causes, simply succumbing to old age. However, more troubling reports indicate that Scatter may have been poisoned by a maid who was tasked with looking after him, while Elvis and his crew were on the road. This speculation points to a darker and more tragic conclusion to Scatter's life, hinting at the neglect and mistreatment he endured. Regardless of the exact circumstances, Scatter's death remains a poignant reminder of the often overlooked consequences of Elvis's lifestyle. The controversies surrounding Scatter's treatment and death add another layer to the complex and sometimes disturbing legacy of Elvis Presley, highlighting the darker aspects of his personal life that he kept hidden from the public eye. 6. Alleged racism. Quincy Jones, the legendary music producer known for his work with Michael Jackson, made headlines when he publicly accused Elvis Presley of being a racist. In a candid interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Jones recounted a time in the 1950s when he was writing for the orchestra leader Tommy Dorsey. According to Jones, Elvis walked into the room and made it clear that he didn't want to play with black musicians, stating, "I don't want to play with him." Jones's allegations are stark and have cast a shadow over Elvis's legacy. Jones also mentioned that despite these sentiments, Elvis was often coached by black artists like Otis Blackwell, highlighting a complex and troubling dynamic. Elvis Presley rose to fame during a time of significant racial tension in America. The 1950s and 1960s were marked by the civil rights movement, which fought against segregation and racial injustice. Against this backdrop, accusations of racism against Elvis take on a deeper significance. While Quincy Jones's statements are among the most direct, there have been other claims and whispers about Elvis's attitudes and behaviors. Some critics have pointed to his appropriation of black music styles, arguing that he profited immensely from a cultural heritage that wasn't his own, often without giving due credit to the original black artists. These accusations add a layer of complexity to Elvis's image as a cultural icon. The discussion around Elvis Presley and cultural appropriation is multifaceted. Elvis's music was heavily influenced by African American genres such as blues, gospel, and rhythm and blues. He brought these styles to a broader, predominantly white audience, which significantly contributed to his fame and commercial success. However, this has led to ongoing debates about whether he genuinely respected and credited the black artists who inspired him, or whether he merely exploited their work for his gain. Critics argue that while Elvis popularized a style of music that originated in black communities, he didn't always acknowledge the roots of his sound, effectively whitewashing the cultural significance. This issue of cultural appropriation remains a contentious part of Elvis's legacy, highlighting the often problematic dynamics between race, culture, and entertainment in America. The conversations initiated by figures like Quincy Jones are crucial in understanding and re-evaluating the complex legacy of Elvis Presley. 5. Hidden children. Elvis Presley, even decades after his death, continues to be a figure shrouded in mystery and controversy. One of the most sensational claims involves the possibility that he fathered children who were kept hidden from the public eye. The National Enquirer, known for its sensationalistic reporting, conducted a 2-year investigation into these allegations. Their inquiry aimed to uncover the truth behind the rumors that Elvis had several secret offspring. The investigation involved extensive research, including witness testimonies, the collection of DNA samples, and scrutiny of birth certificates. This deep dive into Elvis's private life sought to bring to light any hidden familial connections that the king of rock and roll may have left behind. The National Enquirer's investigation was comprehensive, involving numerous testimonies from individuals who claimed to have first-hand knowledge of Elvis's secret children. These accounts came from former friends, acquaintances, and even alleged relatives. To substantiate these claims, the Inquirer reportedly obtained DNA samples from those who believed they were Elvis's children and compared them to known genetic markers from the Presley family. Additionally, birth certificates were scrutinized for any signs that might indicate a hidden lineage. Some birth certificates listed fathers with surnames like Presley and indicated occupations and details that matched Elvis's known history. Despite the sensational nature of these findings, the evidence remained controversial and often inconclusive, leaving the truth about Elvis's hidden children shrouded in mystery. Several women have come forward over the years, claiming that they had intimate relationships with Elvis and bore his children. These stories share remarkable similarities, painting a picture of secretive liaisons and promises made in the shadows. One notable case is that of Desiree Romaine Presley, whose mother, Lucy DeBarbin, alleged a 24-year-long relationship with Elvis. Lucy claimed that Elvis was a devoted lover who kept their relationship hidden to protect his public image. Desiree's birth certificate lists her father as Randolph Presley, a name strikingly close to Elvis's real name, Elvis Aaron Presley. Another woman claimed that Elvis fathered her child during a brief affair in the early 1960s. These stories, while compelling, are often met with skepticism and are difficult to verify. They add to the mystique of Elvis's legacy, suggesting a life far more complex and secretive than the public ever knew. 4. Addiction to medication. Elvis Presley's battle with substance abuse is one of the most tragic aspects of his life. Despite his outward success and charismatic stage presence, Elvis struggled with addiction for many years. His substance abuse issues began to escalate as he dealt with the pressures of fame, relentless touring schedules, and the intense scrutiny of the public eye. Elvis relied heavily on prescription medications, including sedatives, amphetamines, and painkillers, to manage the stress and maintain his high-energy performances. This dependency grew over time, affecting his health, behavior, and ultimately contributing to his premature death. The King's reliance on these substances paints a somber picture of a man trapped by his own success and unable to escape the demons that plagued him. The death of Elvis's mother, Gladys Presley, in 1958 marked a turning point in his life and may have been a significant trigger for his subsequent addiction. Elvis was extremely close to his mother, and her passing left him devastated and inconsolable. He was serving in the U.S. Army in Germany when he received the news, and the grief of losing his beloved mother compounded the isolation and pressure he already felt. To cope with the overwhelming loss, Elvis began to use medications to numb his emotional pain. This period of intense grief and the beginning of his substance use created a destructive path that would follow him for the rest of his life. The emotional void left by his mother's death was something Elvis never fully recovered from, and it profoundly impacted his mental and physical well-being. Linda Thompson, who was in a relationship with Elvis during the 1970s, provides harrowing details of his substance abuse in her memoir. She recounts numerous incidents where Elvis's addiction was painfully evident. One particularly troubling story involves finding Elvis passed out with his face in a bowl of chicken noodle soup, sedated to the point of unconsciousness. Thompson also describes how doctors attempted to hospitalize Elvis for 2 weeks after he misused a combination of medications, highlighting the severity of his addiction. Despite these efforts, Elvis's dependency on drugs continued to spiral out of control. Thompson's memoir paints a picture of a man who, despite his larger-than-life persona, was deeply troubled and battling inner demons. Her accounts provide a personal and poignant perspective on the devastating impact of Elvis's substance abuse on his life and those around him. 3. Why Priscilla left. Priscilla Presley's decision to leave Elvis was not made lightly and stemmed from years of personal struggle and dissatisfaction. Priscilla met Elvis when she was just 14 years old, and their relationship quickly became a whirlwind romance. However, the fairy tale was overshadowed by the reality of living with one of the world's most famous and controlling men. Priscilla often felt isolated and suffocated by Elvis's demands and his need to control every aspect of her life. His infidelities were another significant strain on their marriage, as Elvis continued to have affairs with other women despite being married. Priscilla realized that she needed to find her own identity and independence, separate from Elvis's overpowering influence, which ultimately led her to make the difficult decision to leave him. During her marriage to Elvis, Priscilla struggled to maintain a sense of self. As a young bride, she was thrust into the spotlight and expected to conform to the image that Elvis wanted her to portray. Elvis dictated many aspects of her life, from her hairstyle and clothing to her social interactions and activities. Priscilla felt like she was living in a gilded cage, her individuality stifled by Elvis's controlling nature. The pressure to be the perfect wife to such a high-profile figure took a toll on her mental and emotional well-being. She often felt lost and unsure of who she was outside of being Mrs. Elvis Presley. This identity crisis was compounded by the fact that she missed out on typical teenage experiences and personal growth, having devoted her formative years to being with Elvis. The separation and eventual divorce of Elvis and Priscilla Presley marked the end of an era, but also the beginning of a new chapter for Priscilla. Their separation was announced in 1972, and the divorce was finalized in 1973. Despite the public perception of a glamorous life, their marriage had been fraught with challenges, including Elvis's ongoing infidelities and Priscilla's growing need for independence. Priscilla's decision to leave was driven by her desire to explore her own identity and life outside of Elvis's shadow. The divorce proceedings were amicable, with both parties agreeing to share custody of their daughter, Lisa Marie. Priscilla received a substantial financial settlement and the freedom to start anew. In the years following their divorce, Priscilla carved out her own career and identity, becoming an actress, businesswoman, and author. Her journey post-divorce highlights her resilience and determination to reclaim her life and individuality after years of living in the shadow of Elvis Presley. 2. Erratic behavior and violence. Elvis Presley's life behind closed doors was often marked by violent and erratic behavior that stood in stark contrast to his public persona. These instances of aggression were fueled by his substance abuse, personal frustrations, and the immense pressure of his fame. Elvis's temper could flare without warning, leading to destructive outbursts that frightened those around him. One notable incident involved Elvis allegedly shooting a television set in a fit of rage when he saw something on the screen that displeased him. These unpredictable bouts of anger were part of a larger pattern of instability, painting a troubling picture of a man grappling with inner demons and unable to maintain control over his emotions. Linda Thompson, who was in a relationship with Elvis during some of his most turbulent years, provides a first-hand account of his frightening temper. In her memoir, Thompson recalls several instances where Elvis's rage left her fearing for her safety. She describes how Elvis could transform from charming and loving to terrifyingly angry in an instant, often under the influence of drugs. One particularly alarming episode involved Elvis brandishing a samurai sword and threatening violence after personal photos were stolen. Thompson's stories highlight the volatility of Elvis's behavior and the constant state of tension she lived under, always wary of triggering another outburst. Her memoir offers a glimpse into the darker side of Elvis's personality, marked by a dangerous combination of drug-induced paranoia and uncontrollable anger. Elvis's fascination with weapons added another layer to his erratic behavior, creating a potentially dangerous environment for those around him. He was known to carry firearms regularly, even on stage, and possessed an extensive collection of guns, knives, and swords. Elvis's obsession with weapons was not just a hobby, it was intertwined with his sense of security and identity. He often displayed his firearms to friends and visitors, and his dressing room was reportedly filled with loaded guns. This preoccupation with weaponry was a source of concern for those close to him, as it exacerbated his already volatile temperament. Even his close friend and fellow musician Tom Jones recalled an incident where he found a loaded gun in Elvis's dressing room, underscoring the ever-present risk associated with Elvis's love of weapons. This dangerous fascination, combined with his unpredictable anger, created a perilous dynamic that made Elvis's private life both fascinating and frightening. 1. What was found in Elvis blood? The substances found in Elvis Presley's blood after his death reveal a harrowing tale of dependency and self-destruction. The toxicology report identified a cocktail of drugs in his system, including high levels of opiates, barbiturates, and sedatives. These medications, which included codeine, Valium, and morphine, were prescribed to Elvis by various doctors to manage pain, anxiety, and insomnia. However, the combination and dosage of these drugs were far beyond what was medically safe. The sheer number of substances found in his blood highlights the extent of his addiction and the dangerous practices that contributed to his declining health. This toxic mix of drugs was a critical factor in his untimely death, reflecting a life increasingly dominated by chemical dependency. The discovery and reporting of the substances found in Elvis's blood were part of the official investigation following his sudden death on August 16, 1977. When Elvis was found unresponsive at Graceland, an immediate autopsy was conducted to determine the cause of death. The toxicology report, which was a crucial part of this autopsy, revealed the alarming levels of drugs in his system. The findings were initially kept confidential, but details began to emerge through leaks and investigative journalism. The National Enquirer was one of the first outlets to publish the shocking contents of the report, bringing the dark reality of Elvis's substance abuse to public attention. This information challenged the carefully curated image of Elvis and exposed the tragic consequences of his hidden struggles. The impact of the substances found in Elvis's blood on his health was profound and ultimately fatal. Years of drug abuse had taken a severe toll on his body, leading to multiple health issues, including liver damage, hypertension, and an enlarged heart. These conditions were exacerbated by the chronic use of prescription medications, which Elvis relied on to manage the pressures of fame and personal pain. The drugs masked his symptoms while simultaneously contributing to his physical deterioration. On the day of his death, the lethal combination of these substances overwhelmed his already fragile system, leading to cardiac arrest. Elvis's reliance on medications created a vicious cycle of dependency and decline, culminating in his tragic and premature death at the age of 42. The revelation of these substances in his blood served as a grim reminder of the devastating effects of addiction and the hidden battles that even the most celebrated individuals can face. Conclusion. As we close this deep dive into the life of Elvis Presley, let's recap the top 10 dark secrets that the king of rock and roll didn't want the world to know. From his debilitating germophobia and his controversial relationships with young women, including Priscilla Presley, to his extreme vanity and use of high-collared shirts to hide his insecurities, we've uncovered layers of Elvis's life that were far from the public's adoring gaze. We've explored the disturbing story of his pet chimpanzee, Scatter, and the controversies surrounding its treatment and death. We've discussed Quincy Jones's allegations of racism, the sensational investigation into his alleged hidden children, and his devastating addiction to prescription medications. Finally, we delved into his violent and erratic behavior, fascination with weapons, and the shocking substances found in his blood that contributed to his tragic end. These revelations paint a complex and often unsettling portrait of a man who was as troubled as he was talented. Elvis Presley remains an enduring icon of music and pop culture, but today's exploration reminds us that legends are often more human than we realize. Behind the dazzling smile and electrifying performances was a man grappling with deep-seated fears, insecurities, and personal demons. Understanding these darker aspects of Elvis's life doesn't diminish his impact on music history. Rather, it provides a fuller picture of the man behind the myth. It's a sobering reminder that fame and fortune do not shield one from struggles, and that every superstar has a story far more intricate than the one seen on stage. As we reflect on these revelations, we can appreciate Elvis's contributions to music while acknowledging the complexities that defined his life. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the hidden life of Elvis Presley. If you found this video insightful and engaging, please give it a thumbs up. We'd love to hear your thoughts and reactions, so leave a comment below and let us know which dark secret surprised you the most. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the lives of iconic figures and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share this video with your friends and fellow Elvis fans to spread the word about the hidden sides of the king of rock and roll. Until next time, keep exploring and questioning the stories behind the legends.